to it, but I think I gotta get my TV first. Let's try it. There we go. Alrighty, got my M&Ms. Was a bit stressed today, but I'm gonna paint my way out the anxiety and stress. How about that? Paint my way out the anxiety and stress. Man, this is gonna be difficult. So I could do red hair or I could do blue. Hmm. Let's do blue. Let's do blue. Paint my way out the anxiety. Out the anxiety. Yeah. Paint my way through it. Painting my way out the anxiety. There we go. Right here. Painting my way through the anxiety. You know, painting can be therapy for you too sometimes because it takes a lot, you know, mind concentration where you're concentrating on what you're painting, right? Am I expert? No. I'm no expert, right? But I'm doing my best to paint. I'm no expert, but what I am doing is painting my way out the anxiety. Because sometimes painting, did you know painting can be therapy to the mind? Because it gives your mind something else to concentrate on, and you don't have to think about no anxiety. Not that I'm thinking about it, but I felt a bit gibberish today. And I said, you know what? Let me grab something to paint. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to grab something to paint. It may not look like nothing to you, but it is something to me. I'll repeat that. It may not mean something to you, but it means something to me. I find myself painting where it makes me feel good, and it takes my mind off of anything that could be a bit too much. Like what? Stress, anxiety, all that stuff there. So I'm just painting my way through. Painting my mind off of things. I felt my adrenaline going today, and I'm like, man, what is wrong with me? I don't think it was because I went in the store, because I always go in there, when I can. But when I came out, I started feeling this anxiety a little bit. It wasn't bad, but just me feeling it. And don't get me wrong, I don't get anxiety like that. But sometimes, you know, the mind can do some things. So I figured I'll grab some colors and I said I'll just start painting. And that's what I'm doing. I'm painting. How this gonna turn out, I don't know. Why? Because I'm no expert. But it does help. For me, it's a bit of motivation for me. It may not be the best, but it's a start. I got this thing, this little baby monkey out the arts and craft. section. So I recommend anybody that's going through anything, paint your way through. Paint your way through it. You ain't got to be no expert. Do what you can. Nobody knows, you know. We all go through something. But what do we do to get out of the stresses? Do we work out? Do we exercise? Do we take walks? Um, what do you do, when you're up under a little stress? Anybody have a way of working through stress? Let's see, which way should I go? Which way should I go? This way, that way? Let's see. There's always a technique to this, but let's just do our best. That's all what matters. Do your best. Do your best. It'll make sense later. I know I'm kind of crossing the lines there. See there? We'll get through that. Do your best. Sometimes you can have things on your mind, and sometimes you be like, man, some people don't know how to work through things. Some people go through the panic, and it takes them and put them all over the place. I myself can take walks, and I have suggestions for myself how to deal with stuff. So painting is good for me. Like I say, it may not be my best, but it's a start. What's up? What's up, y'all? Happy Saturday to you too. And I'm just gonna do something. I used to do this in California. I would go to this place. It had all these little pieces of art, and you just get something that you like, and you sit down at the table, and you just start painting. And then when you get done painting, they'll keep it for about a week, and they'll cook it, where they heat it up, and call you when it's done within that week. And you had created your own painting where they did some type of heat. They cooked it with this temperature. I forgot what temperature they was cooking it at, and it came out real nice. This gonna be funny. So I painted a dragon one time. Oh, I put my work into it, and when I got done painting, y'all, let me tell you what happened. I went home, took a shower, and I fell right to sleep. I was like, "What the hell?" That painting had just just made my mind just it wasn't overwhelmed, but it really relaxed to my mind where I was actually tired. I was like, damn, that feels good. And so I noticed that change in my body. So, this is what I do now sometimes. If I feel a bit overwhelmed, I grab something, I start painting. That's what I start doing. How often I do it. Well, I don't get overwhelmed much, you know. Sometimes I think going out in public sometimes can be overwhelming. Do I am I afraid of outside? No, I'm not afraid of outside. I think the energy has changed outside. The energy has changed. So what I do is I find myself getting back to this. And I don't think nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. You know, some people I remember, when people hyperventilate, they get a bag and they breathe out of it, because sometimes people get a little, anxiety and sometimes they feel like they all over the place. And it's nothing wrong with you. It's just part of who you are. And you just learn to adjust to, situations. And sometimes adjustments may not be always good. And so you just find yourself to yourself and you'll figure something out. You know, I suggest finding a hobby. Is this a hobby for me? No, this is not a hobby for me. But this does help me get away out my mind when I find my mind doing something like, a little racy. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on with me? And then I'd be like, okay, 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 okay. So usually I have on music too, y'all. Usually I use music too to get through some things too. And sometimes I tune everybody out and just find myself in a quiet space with myself. And I just get quiet and I invite God in with me. And I think God is peace, quiet, right? And that helps with meditating, nothing wrong with that. And I get through, and it works for me. Like I say, I don't have major anxiety, but I felt a bit overwhelmed coming out the store. I was like, what is that feeling? And I went back in and I said, I saw these arts, pieces of arts, and I saw paint. I said, you know what? Let me grab that real quick. I need to get my mind off of how my adrenaline was going. It's feeling kind of weird. And my anxiety started to kind of act up. And I'm like, what is going on with me? And I got myself out of that real fast. I got myself out of it real fast. And this is what works. So I got home and I already knew what to do. And I put myself to this action, This is what I do. I'll find something to do. If I'm not working out, I could work out, but it's late, so I just said I'll do something, I do something I haven't done in a while, and this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. See, you ain't got to always stay in one place with yourself, upset, stressing, worry. Just find something to do outside of all of that. Find something to do. If it's nighttime, I suggest read a book, watch some comedy, find some humor in life, find something that will enlighten you away from, you know, the troubles. Find something that's gonna enlighten you away from troubles. You know, nobody's perfect. We all go through some things. I see it all the time. I hear it and I see it. And sometimes I say F it. And sometimes I don't worry about it. But if I got my own personal time to find something for myself to do, then this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this. I do things like work out, and I'll occasionally grab something to paint. Now remember now, guys, I'm no expert, so I'm just having my own fun. Now you probably say, well, why'd you get blue? Why are you painting the monkey blue? Look, the way I was feeling, I grabbed whatever I could grab. I actually grabbed two. I actually grabbed two reds, and I shouldn't have grabbed two reds, but my anxiety was acted up, and I just grabbed it real quick, and I got out of there fast. Now let's see here. We'll paint the eyes. I grabbed two reds by accident, so I wanted to grab another color, but I was trying to get out of there, and so fast, and this is what I did. All right, the eyes, the eyes, the eyes. That's okay, right? That's okay. But we'll let this first coat dry, and then I'll come back over it again. So, but find time into what? Doing something outside of anxiety is always good. Finding time into getting away from your troubles is definitely good. Some people find into um, um, their favorite movies. They get off work and they want to get home fast, and it's their weekend. It's their time. Ugh. It's their weekend and it's their time. Now, what I'll do is I'll go around this and I'll give it a detail. Let's see how that works. Picasso. But, you know, a lot of people don't, know enough to, you know, deal with themselves away from their troubles. And that shit is all natural because, you know, I'm not an expert, right? But I am experienced enough to say, chill out. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself, and don't let nobody be hard on you. Definitely don't let nobody be hard on you, because then you're going to lose control. You're going to lose control of yourself, and people will cause you to lose control. Did you guys know that when people are painting for some, that they're not pros? I'm not a pro painter, right? But I'll show you guys, next time I'll show you what I have painted outside the yard. Uh, um, I do my best. I'm not an expert, but concentrating on doing this helps me out. Me concentrating doing this, it helps me out. And I knew I needed to do this. I knew I needed to do this real bad. Some people, they don't know what to do. And some people, they spaz out because they don't know what to do. We all got our different ways of finding ourselves. We find ourselves trying to calm ourselves down. Everybody got different ways of calming themselves down sometimes, and sometimes it may not be all what it is to other folks on how you really do it. But some people do it in alcohol. I drink occasionally. Some people like to do their smoke, right? I used to have my, marijuana, and that shit started giving me a bad headache. So I always say, if it's not the real marijuana, don't smoke it. Don't smoke it if it's not the real marijuana, man. If it's not the real marijuana, don't smoke it. Don't smoke it if it's not the real thing. Don't waste your time doing it. I know we all got our own different kind of way of chilling out and relaxing, but this works best for me. This works best for me. Now, let's see. Let's see. Let's brush some of this off. I want to keep it a little bit smooth. Let's start to spread it around. Sharing is Caring, right? Sharing is caring. Yeah. It's not your best Picasso. But we're getting there. Let's see if these details make any sense. Let's see. Let's do it like this. Let's see. La, 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 la. Not gonna be my best, y'all. We're getting there. We're getting there. You're probably saying, well, why are you painting the eyebrows blue? Well, remember I told y'all my anxiety was kicking in and I was being in a rush. We'll get to those details in a minute. Okay, let's see. Um, Sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you just gotta come up with something. Look, this ain't my best. I'm no expert. But I am motivating myself. And guess what? I do feel better. And thank you guys for being on here. Um, I'll say it again. You know, sometimes we think about shit too much. And sometimes thinking about it, stressing about it, never solve the issue. So sometimes you gotta just chill out with yourself. And sometimes you have to take yourself to sleep on it, so you can have a better way of thinking about things. Because sometimes we may think too much about things, and sometimes thinking too much sometimes may not be good. Sometimes getting good rest, sometimes doing something outside the chaos. Sometimes it's best to, think outside of everything. Just find something to take your mind off of something. And look, it ain't got to be that creative, but as long as you happy about doing it, that does count. You just be happy about doing it. Nobody else can um, make you happy but you. Remember that. Nobody can make you happy but you. And sometimes when we're looking for others to make us happy, guess what? They make us mad. Sometimes when we look for the wrong people to make us happy, they end up making us mad. I'll say that again. Sometimes we look forward to other people to making us happy, and sometimes those people make you feel worse, make you feel even angrier. So if those people are not good for you, I suggest don't use them to chill out with. Get to yourself. Get to yourself. If that's possible. Sometimes getting to yourself is much better sometimes than, you know, dealing with people that, who just keep making it worse. And if you got somebody to chill out with, shit, do it. It's hard to, find good people these days that, actually care, about your feelings. Anybody that cares about you, they gonna understand you. Anybody that cares about you gonna understand you. I hope that makes sense. Anybody that cares about you, right? Anybody that cares about you understands you. It don't take that much understanding. Just a little bit. I think that looks okay. It ain't my best. Am I feeling blue? Yes. In a happy way, because guess what? Blue is my favorite color. Blue is my favorite color. Blue is my favorite color. You know how they say, let that first coat, dry? Yeah. I'll let that first coat dry, and then I'll make my way back around. And touch it back up. Let's get these edges right here. Here we go. And what I'll do is I'll touch it up. Ooh. Oh boy, got paint on the rug. I'll be right back. Hope that's washable. Gotta get that up real quick. We don't need nothing. There we go. Perfect. No evidence. No evidence. Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. Yep. No evidence. For anybody in here that's new, I was telling people earlier that, sometimes, I may have a little anxiety, and sometimes I'll either walk it away or listen to music right now because I can feel it in my adrenaline. And I thought about something I saw in the store, so I went back to the back and I got some stuff to, help me get my mind off of anxiety. It's nothing major. It's just small. But anything to get, anything off your mind. You don't have to feel like you're crazy because you got anxiety. Some people understand, some people don't. But, like I said earlier, when you're feeling a certain kind of way, anything on your mind, just find something to do. Find something you like to do that's your favorite thing to do. And you can come out of any situation, stress, worries, depression, those major things like that. Don't let depression, take over you. Just listen to something else that's more enlightened to talk about. Lots of times, we talk about the problem all the time, but we're not doing nothing to, try to solve it. Sometimes we be into the problem so much that we never try to, work to solving things and maybe just saying, you know what, it could be worse. And I know everybody got their different kind of problems in their own brains on how they deal with stuff. But I would suggest to never let something just take over your life and you feel like it's the end or it's over with, you know, because it's never. It's almost like you can think of it like our Savior Christ. You know, He sacrificed us for us to be forgiven of our sins, and He was resurrected. So look at your life like that. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and sometimes maybe your hard decision. But I always say your hard decisions is your best decisions, right? But make the best decision that's best for you. Don't make the decision to trap you. And don't feel like you got to do something that's called regret in life. You know, we all regret a lot of things, but, you know, I'll give you a better example. I've lost a lot of things, right? But I gained it all back. I've lost things, but I gained it back. It's something about losing and gaining back. It's something about letting go of things and gaining something back about yourself. Um, Amen, brother. God so loved the world that he gave his only forgotten Son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Amen. And you have to look at your life like that. Look at it as we're built in God's image and we can start over anytime. And that's your resurrection. That's your resurrection to correcting, anything in your life. That's your resurrection to fixing anything in your life. That's your resurrection for starting over. Starting over. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. There's nobody out here perfect. Nobody. You know. I suggest looking up to yourself before you look up to others. Look up to yourself first. I don't want to take that away from nobody. Don't take that away from yourself. Look up to yourself because you're great and you can be anything that you want to be. Remember, we can be happy or we can be sad, or we know how to use those tools to get through with ourselves, right? Use those tools to get through with ourselves. Sometimes it takes longer for others, and that's okay. But use those tools that you got. And people got their own way to, get through life and how to deal with a situation. Some people take longer. And, you learn in life that, some things can't be rushed. Because why? People got feelings. But don't leave God out your feelings, okay? You leave God out, it takes longer. You probably say, well, why you keep using God in there? Well, guess what? If you ain't got God, who you got? There's some things in life you can't do on your own. Oh, you're powerful. But sometimes being powerful can be out of control. Sometimes powerful can be reckless. Sometimes being powerful may not have no understanding, you know. So sometimes our feelings can mislead us the wrong way to the point where we have to, regret some things that we have said to people, that we've done wrong to folks. And sometimes that's kind of hard to fix because everybody ain't forgiven, right? Everybody ain't forgiven. But, as you grow, you learn to better control yourself. And, because I already know, y'all. I already know if I react this way, I know how it's going to be. All I got to do is just trip out. I already know how the outcome's going to be. So instead of doing that, and I know my outcome, I already know to do the right thing. May sound, easy for some like myself, but at the same time, I live and I'm upgrading myself. What? I'm building better control of myself, the character of myself, and I'm controlling the emotions, the feelings that I can control. Because sometimes those feelings can control you, and you may be using the wrong feelings. Sometimes you can be using all your emotions and you don't even know it. You ever saw some people laugh and then they're crying at the same time? That's the joy of laughter. Oh, wow. That's the joy of laughter. Have you what? Laughing tears. And that's a beautiful thing to see. If you ever see that, see somebody laughing and crying, don't think something wrong with them. They need that laugh. They need that laughter. Trust me, they need it. We all need it, y'all. And sometimes when I can't find myself laughing, I go laugh at people who make me laugh, right? I can go watch things that make me laugh all the time, all the time. But if I'm gonna do anything different in life, y'all, or if you're gonna do anything different in life, do something better than your other side would do. We know how our other side can be. Do something different from your other half of yourself that can whatever get out of control. That when you start to understand that other side of you, before you know it, as you get older, you'll better control it. Look, sometimes it takes longer for others, and sometimes it's still a teaching for others, right? Sometimes it's just easy for others. Sometimes it takes longer for others. Sometimes it takes people who's working on it, and that's effort. People who's working on themselves. I got a question one time. Somebody asked me, how'd you get through how to control your anger? How do you control your anger when you're about to? I told you. I already know the outcome. If I start tripping out, guess what's gonna happen? Everything around me gonna fall apart. I'm controlling everything around me. Whether I had kids, grandkids, a wife, or anybody, if I crack, guess what? Everybody around me, they're gonna see the worst of me, and maybe, and that kingdom that's around me is gonna fall because you're in control of your life, right? If you don't put gas in your car, guess what? It's going to run out. And who's in control of that? You. Now, I'm just saying, you can have the money, but sometimes people do forget to put gas in their car. I forgot. I forgot. But be in control of yourself. Be in control of yourself. And trust me, it'll all make sense when you're in control of yourself. Everything's a practice. You don't come in this world knowing how to come in this world, to be righteous, be right, be better than others. Nope. You learn. You are learning while you're here. You are learning while you're here, and that is so important to learn while you're here. And when you're learning while you're here, hopefully development is happening with you where you're upgrading. Sometimes people that don't grow up, they study, continue to try to act the same, right? They never change. They just stay the same. It's good in some ways, but if it's defeating them, it's bad. They gotta let go of that other half of themselves that's not allowing them to grow and be understanding towards their own lives. And sometimes our own lives can affect other people's lives, especially people who care about us. Whether it's kids, right? We don't want to hurt the kids. We don't want to hurt the kids. Can't hurt the kids. But if you got kids, it hurts the kids. It hurts the children. It hurts them. It hurts the babies. It hurts the babies. It hurts the children. It hurts the teenagers, right? As they get older, guess what? It hurts their young adulthood because they thinking that, this is the right way to do things. And trust me, it's not. It's not. And, they call it a family curse, whatever you want to call it. but it can kind of, put a toll on your life where you don't know why you act the way you act. You don't know why. And sometimes we need help. Sometimes people just need help. A little help goes a long way. A little help. And sometimes it's your words that you use towards people. Sometimes your words can cause people to crash out because there's words and how they're used. You can use it to hurt them or you could use it to guide them. I had an old guy tell me that. He said, "So how do we handle the young youth out here?" And I said, "Well, it's the way we speak to them. It's the way we speak to them. We can't come at them like with discipline like that. It don't work that way. Sometimes it's best to listen to them and understand them and then go from there without no prejudice. Without no prejudice. Just go from there. Like, share, and subscribe, guys. I really appreciate you guys being here and watching me paint this baby little monkey. But it's motivation for me, y'all. It's motivation for me. Um, I'm not sure right now how this is looking, but when it dries, we'll see. If not, we're good because I like it. And I think I did some pretty good colors here, which is two colors. I got the red and I got the blue. So, like I say, I'm not an expert with painting, but I use this sometimes to help with getting things off my mind and um, having control of myself and control of my thoughts and having a better way of thinking in life. Having a better way of thinking. And having a better way of thinking is real important. How you guys doing out there? Blessings. And this is how it goes. Some people get angry and then the next day they come back, you be like looking at a new person. Sometimes people are like that. And sometimes, they may not mean to have an outburst like that and they're trying their best. But guess what? That's something that they're learning about themselves and they're trying to work through. Trying to work through. With a lot of job losses out here and people got bills to pay. It is crazy in a lot of places, and I've been there before. Um, but, you know, in other places, it's real decent and people are living. And sometimes your side of the world you're living in, your state, your town, your city, your world could be good, but somewhere else on the other side of what that world, that state, cross country, however you want to say it, somebody's really going through it. The economics could be harder somewhere else, right? And that's how it be sometimes. Sometimes it's harder somewhere else, and you may not have an idea. I remember this guy, I asked him one time, I said, "Man, I was having a hard time living in Wisconsin." And he told me, he said, I said, "The economic was bad there." And he told me, "Well, the economics here in Texas was good. So we didn't see uh, no economy looking bad. The economy was looking good." And I said, wow, when you think that you're having it bad, somewhere else is better for you. Sometimes you have to make decisions and make decisions that's best for you. I know it's hard to leave states that you live in and go somewhere else and start over, but sometimes you have to, right? Especially if you got a family and you want something better, and sometimes that city's not giving you everything that you need. That you have to make decisions what's best for you, what's best for your family, because it's okay to lose, but don't lose it all. Take what you got, seek refuge, right? Seek refuge. And we can pray, right? But God requires us to put the action in, put the faith in, right? Put the action, put your faith in, right? And He'll guide you through the rest. So never wait on no man. Never wait on nobody. Find what's best for you because trust me, it'll make sense later. Especially when you can turn something that was gonna go worse and you can make changes. The same way I lived in California when it got crazy out there doing the pan. And as I was leaving California, there was no U-Hauls to get. So I had to use my Prius, and I drove all the way from California to Texas in my Prius. And it only cost me about, what, $100. Crazy. But I saw this just a lot of U-Hauls, whole bunch of them just leaving California, heading to Arizona, heading to Texas because people knew that they wasn't gonna survive in that state much longer. They were gonna lose everything. So sometimes you have to make decisions that's best. You don't have to lose it all. But if you have to start over and lose everything, trust me, let it go, right? Let it go. Sometimes you're gonna have to let it go. And trust me, you'll get it all back. You'll get it all back. May even get it something better for you, right? Whether it's a home, right? Whether it's a new car, a better wage, right? A better wage for you where you can provide even more. And guess what else? Peace. Get better peace for yourself. That's more richer, better peace for yourself. That is so important. The peace. The peace is much better. That's more richer. For my age, appreciate you guys' likes. Um, my peace, for me, my peace is much valuable than anything. You know why? I'm gonna share this with you guys real quick. I got, I always go back and refer to my closet. I bought all of these shoes, and I always find myself wearing my old shoes. Got all these new shoes. As the months and the years go by, those shoes are like outdated, but they're new, right? They're in the box. But I find myself wearing my old shoes. And I knew then wearing my old shoes and looking back at those new shoes, I was like, man, I see why older people sometimes, how they used to dress when they were younger, and then all of a sudden they start wearing overalls and just wearing the regular clothes that they got. Like, they're everyday life clothing. Like I call it your superhero gear that you're comfortable in. And I realized all that stuff, shoes and stuff I bought, that stuff didn't make me happy. That was just something that was coming across my mind to have. And maybe it was because I didn't have those things when I was a kid. But I look at that stuff now and like, man. So if I can give somebody something, I'll give them a pair of boxer new shoes if they my size because, you know, you start to understand the game of life, y'all. That's my whole point. You start to learn the game of life. All right, we're back on. Anyway, the extreme of life sometimes can make you feel a bit, with the anxiety. And a lot of things, man, a lot of stuff, you know, um, yes. Weird thing you used to believe in. Yeah, I learned that your peace is much better than the things you buy. Your peace is much better than chasing something that's not chasing you, right? Because we all have chased things before in our lives. For some of us, not all of us, but we all have wanted something real bad sometimes, and once you got it, you're like, that feeling is gone. Yes, the poor, the rich is getting richer, and the poor is getting poor. Yeah, definitely. But guess what? I've seen them all. I've seen all of these people that I've came across in my life, millionaires and major heavy hitters, and I've spoken to them. And guess what? I saw them wearing regular clothes, regular shoes. Steve Madden. You guys know Steve Madden. He's got the shoes, right? And I met him one time, and he had on a cast, so I figured he must have hurt his arm. But he had on a pair of dirty jeans and just a regular shirt, and was the kindest man. He was the kindest man. His money just wasn't something that he was splurging. His kindness. Plus, he was paying for all of his regular friends and family to come fly out somewhere on his ranch. And they all were just, to me, regular folks. And he's like, what, super rich, right? So I saw that side of him. I also saw Troy Aikman. You guys know what's his name? Troy Aikman that used to play for the Cowboys. I saw his side of him. He's rich. And one thing about Troy is I learned he gives no eye contact. He keeps his face and his eyes focus a certain way where he's not drawing in the attention where people are going to walk up to him. I said, why is he doing that? I assume that the reason why he was doing that is because a lot of people can sometimes, you know, you're rich like that, everybody's going to be drawn to you and want something. So I figured he probably just didn't want to have that. He didn't want to give off that type of energy. But that was okay. It's just that I was learning something of how he moves. The way I saw Steve Madden move, he was very humble. Troy Aikman was kind of a little snobbish, right? Shaquille O'Neal, I've met. He just a big giant and very humble. Sometimes he'll test you out by he'll be at the snack machine and he'll be like, "Do you got any change? I can't buy no honey buns with with all these hundreds he got." He's got a bunch of $100 bills, and he just tests you out to see if you'll loan him, some dollar bills to get him something out the snack machine. And these were honey buns, actually honey buns. And you help him out with that, he ends up giving you a few $100 bills. And that's his kindness right there. So, you give back and, you show people, love. Now, who knows if it's a tax write-off? I'm not sure, but does it matter if it's your kindness, right? Right? He shared it with you. He gave it to you, but he shared it with you, but he gets it back in other ways. What? The giving keeps on giving, right? Of course you want to make money back to keep helping, right? That's how that works. So I've seen the rich side of people, and I've learned a lot of things from them, and it's always good to network too, guys. Always good to network with folks. So not every rich person is a snob. It's kind of scary when you do have a lot. But for us people that you know love life without the riches, we understand what's more valuable, right? And what's more valuable? We don't need to have all the money in the world, right? We don't need to have all the money in the world. And guess what? God does provide. God does provide. Trust me, He does provide. He provides for us all. He does. Um, I've seen people where they just work so much and they're sick. They got the cancer going on. And, they have a family that they can just go home and be with and just stop working. And some people just don't stop working. And I've seen people that continue to try to work and they work so much to the point I saw this guy. He hired me one time and he worked so hard, but he was sick. He was at the top tier of his position, but he just wouldn't stop working when he was in the bad health. And one day I saw him bent over at his car and he looked like death was on him. I could see it. I'm that type of empath where I could tell, I could feel it. And I just know that somebody's not going to be here long. I don't mean to say that, but it's always been a gift of mine. And then one day, he sent off his last plane and he came inside and he dropped and hit the floor and died right away. And I'm like, man, why didn't he stay home? Why did he come back after coming out the hospital? Why did he just come back to work? You know, and I saw that other people could have told him, you stay home and take care of yourself. You know, go home, take care of yourself. But they let him come in and work. And that's where he died at. And I'm like, man. And I saw it coming. I saw it coming. He was getting weaker and weaker. And I know he tried to hang on. I know he tried to hang on. But we do our best, right? We do our best. And we want to take care of our family. And a lot of people die like that, trying to take care of their families. What they do is, they want to leave something behind and make sure that their wives and kids don't have to worry about nothing. And sometimes they die that way. They die working. I've known people to take care of their families and take care of their grandkids. And I've seen them drop dead at work. I've seen this a few times in my life. And trust me, it's not even worth it. You get a certain age and you only got this much life left, you do have to make decisions. But guess what? We're in a time right now where we're able to understand and see things clearly and understand the value of life, right? You understand the value of your life more. And what's worth more in your life? What's worth more to you in your life? The value of your life. Like, you know, does it take for you to get sick, have a heart attack to know what's worth more for you? What's important? Family, friends, what's more important for you in life? What's more important? Things like that. You try to learn. But it don't take an old person or a young person to learn it. It just takes you to have an open mind, open heart, and see that what's more important for you in your life. When I see and hear about these people losing their jobs on these platforms and stuff, I'm like, I've been there. And I understand some people, it's new to them. And telling them it's going to be all right, may not help. But guess what? They got to experience it. They got to experience it enough to, understand it. You got to go through those tough times, those hard times to to figure it out. Some people don't figure it out soon. Sometimes it takes it longer. And sometimes it don't take people longer. Sometimes people just crash out, you know, with a job and finances and having families and responsibilities, card notes and stuff we got to pay for, and it can get scary as hell. Trust me, I've had that come upon my spirit. Those temptations made me feel like that. What do I do next? What do I do? What do I do? But I got through it, y'all. I got through it. Has temptation been brought up on me? Yes. Yes. This is when paper applications were back then. You know, you get paper applications and you had to put those paper applications in to get jobs before we started going over to digital and online. And I had that temptation and stuff. And then one day it got to the edge where I felt that devil on my shoulder telling me I got to do something bad. I got to do something bad to take care of my family, and it was putting me down. I could hear it in my head telling me. It was like that devil and that angel on your shoulder telling me, you know, well, you know what you got to do. I'm like, what? And it kept saying, And I'm like, no. It says, And I'm like, no. And it kept telling me I got to rob somebody. I'm like, rob somebody? I could feel it telling me that. And I could see that angel on my shoulder. I could feel it. It's hard to explain it, but I could feel it on me. And I kept seeing and feeling that side of me saying, don't do it. Now, this is my face, the devil and the angel. And I'm like, I got to do that? And it was like, yeah. I said, I can't do it. And then the angel kept looking up at me, my face telling me, you got no choice. And the other side kept saying, uh, it just kept shaking his head. The angel side kept shaking his head. That devil side kept telling me, you got no choice but to do it, to do something bad, to take care of your family. And the more it kept telling me what to do and what I need to do, that angel side of me just started shaking his head and just said no. And that angel said, well, that devil side of me said, well, you can't take care of your kids. And then all of a sudden, that made me feel like crap. And I said, you're right. I can't take care of my family and I gotta do it. And I said I was gonna do it. And that beginning of the week was my toughest week. And then as we got into that midweek, like from getting over hump day, going into Thursday, I had this lady call me and she had this job for me, this position. And she told me she said, it pays this much. It was at this law firm. And she said that, was it something I was interested in? I said, yeah, sure. And she said, well, look, I'm going to call you right back. I'm going to see if I can get you more money. She called me back probably within 10 minutes, got me more money, and I had the job. Now, I went through all of that week, something telling me I needed to do this. And I was trying to get out there and find my way of doing that bad deed. And all of a sudden, I get a call. Now, I was out of work for almost 2 to 3 years. This was doing like the World Trade Centers, guys. And it must have been a test I passed because I got through it. And I held that job for 10 years. So that's why I say there is a God. There is a God. Somebody looks over us all, y'all. Somebody looks over all of us. And that's one of my stories I can share. Anyway, guys, I think I'm done with the painting part. I think it looks good. I think I did good. I'm gonna let it dry some more, and then I'll do some more coats to it. But I really appreciate you guys for hanging out with me doing this. And yeah, like, share, and subscribe. And you guys, if you're ever going through stress, just find something to do that you like, whether it's listening to your music, whether it's taking a walk, whatever. Um, Let it be your own superpower and go do it. And don't let the kryptonite side of you take you out. I think that sounds better. Don't let your kryptonite of you take you out. Just find something that you like to do. I'm only doing this because I had a bit of anxiety, but I feel better now because guess what? I talked that crap away. I talked it away. But it helps. I don't get major anxiety, but I'm human. I can feel things sometimes. I can tell, when I'm feeling different. I can tell, when I go out, I can feel that the energy of folks, and I know sometimes it's not easy out here. It's scary right now. We're living in some scary times, but you know, still got to hang in there, right? And most importantly, you all you got. Remember that. You all you got. You all you got. And guess what? You heard it first.